John Park is the director of the Korea Working Group at Harvard's Kennedy School. I asked him about President Moon's speech to Parliament.
So now President Moon, but candidate Moon, made a very specific case for creating jobs for the young. Youth unemployment recently reached a high of over 11%. And so with that as a priority and overall creating jobs as one of his big mandates, he's asked for a supplemental bill where during his administrations, he's looking to create over 800,000 jobs in the public sector.
Talk to me about the THAAD missile defense system, the U.S. Missile defense system. He's asked for this impact assessment, environmental impact assessment. Could take some time to get that done. He's kind of stuck in the middle between China and the U.S., with each having a different point of view on this issue. Talk to me about that, and how does he thread the needle?
Sure, and threading the needle is the exact way to think about it. He doesn't really have much wiggle room here. So from the Beijing perspective, there is an expectation that he will roll back THAAD, something that is contingent for Beijing to basically unroll economic coercion on South Korean companies and help with the broader China-South Korean economic relationship. When it comes to the United States, that is a very important part of the U.S.-South Korea alliance dynamic. And so if there is anything that is perceived to be of caving in to Chinese pressure or somehow ameliorating the situations over there, excuse me, at the expense of U.S.-South Korea relations, then that's going to be a big hit to the alliance as well. And this is all in the prelude to President Moon's first visit to the United States and also his summit with President Trump. So you can see how the stakes are enormously high, and he really doesn't have that much room to maneuver.
And Moon says he does want to work with the U.S. and the Japanese when it comes to ridding the DPRK of nuclear weapons. But just to your point, it seems to me that they all have different approaches to this. How do you achieve that? A lot of work has been gone into this over the years to try and open up the situation with the DPRK, kind of move them to kind of step on things, but they haven't minimized their threat. How do you get a reset?
I think right now with the three leaders in Japan, South Korea, and the United States trying to figure out ways to denuclearize North Korea, we're seeing a common goal, but the means are very much divergent. If anything, the Japanese and the United States seem to be on the exact same page in terms of this existential threat emanating from North Korea in the case of ballistic missile development as well as the further nuclear weapons development. But from a South Korean perspective, particularly under progressive government, the whole notion of using progressive means as it relates to engagement, I think has always been a hallmark of progressive administrations.
Talk to me about President Moon's meeting with the head of FIFA and the suggestion that countries in Northeast Asia, including perhaps the DPRK, could co-host the 2030 FIFA World Cup. This seemed like an unusual step forward in that direction as well.
So sports diplomacy has been a big part of inter-Korean relations, and I think this is a nod in that direction. But what's interesting in all of this is that 2030 would be the target date for this particular FIFA World Cup. That would presume that the Korean Peninsula is still divided, that there is a North Korea. But as we've seen with messages coming from the United States, if North Korea is adamant about going through this route of developing a nuclear ICBM that could range continental United States, then that raises the possibility of a military action. So when we're looking at this 2030 time horizon, it is good to be optimistic, but I think given this other trend line, what's happening with the United States and its effort to view North Korea as this direct threat to the American homeland, we're seeing another element that is a big factor in terms of how President Moon would navigate around this.